friends, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time that you get to listen to this. I really do appreciate you being here. And today we are going to be looking at Proverbs Chapter 19. As I like to say, if you haven't read this chapter, please pause, read the chapter and understand what it is that the Lord wants to speak to you, because we're in different seasons and the Lord tailor makes the message dependent on the season that you are in. So I'm going to be reading this chapter from the English Standard Version, and as I read, I'm going to share what I am picking from the chapter. So I'm not going to share like at the end. Huku katikati is where I'm actually going to share what it is that I feel that the Lord wants us to learn from this chapter. All right, are we ready? All right, let's go. Verse 1, it says, "Better is a poor person who walks in his integrity than one who is crooked in speech and is a fool." Verse 2, "Desire without knowledge is not good, and whoever makes haste with his feet misses his way." Let me repeat verse 2 because it really caught my attention. It says, desire without knowledge is not good, and whoever makes haste with his feet misses his way. This is what it means. It means that passion, enthusiasm, strong motivation, if it is not guided by wisdom, by facts, by understanding, it often leads to poor decisions, mistakes, and reckless actions. So it's not enough for you to have desires. It's not enough for you to have motivation and with enthusiasm and passion. It is important to make sure that these are guided by wisdom. They are guided by facts. They are guided by understanding. That way, you will not make poor, hasty decisions that will make you miss the way. Verse 3 says, "When a man's folly brings his way to ruin, his heart rages against the Lord." He says, when a man's folly brings his way to ruin, his heart rages against the Lord. This means that people will often ruin their own lives through their own folly. Folly is foolishness. So you've made a foolish decision, a reckless choice, but instead of taking responsibility, you become angry and you blame God for your misfortune. That is basically what the verse is saying there, that when a man's folly brings him to ruins, his heart rages against the Lord. That instead of taking responsibility, we usually blame the Lord for our misfortunes, which is very unfortunate, but I have also seen it happening many times, and I think I have also probably been a partaker of this. Like, I've done something that is stupid, I've made a decision that is stupid, but then I've been angry at the outcome, and I'm angry at the Lord, not necessarily myself, which is very, very wrong. Verse 4 says, "Wealth brings many new friends, but a poor man is deserted by his friends." This means, or rather this is highlighting a very unfortunate fact, that some human relationships are driven by self-interest rather than genuine affection. It highlights that wealth acts like a magnet, attracting all quote-unquote fake friends. As a matter of fact, there's no quote-unquote, all fake friends who hope to benefit from your own success. While poverty leads to isolation, because people often abandon those who can no longer offer them anything, or those ones that they think, huyu hata anahitaji kusaidika mwenyewe, like he needs help, this one needs help, so they'll probably abandon those. So that's what verse 4 means when it says, "Wealth brings many new friends, but a poor person is deserted by his friends." Verse 5 says, "A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies will not escape." That's clear. Ukifanya false witness, you will not just go unpunished. Verse 6 says, "Many seek the favor of a generous man, and everyone is a friend to a man who gives gifts. All a poor man's brother hate him. How much more do his friends go far away from him? He pursues them with his words but does not have them." This is just basically, again, highlighting the unfortunate fact that some people are just friends with you because of what you can give them. Verse 8 says, "Whoever gets sense loves his own soul. He who keeps understanding will discover good. A false witness will not go unpunished. He who breathes out lies will perish." This is the second time that is being repeated in this chapter. Verse 10, "It is not fitting for a fool to live in luxury, much less for a slave to rule over princes. Good sense makes one slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook an offense." I like that, overlooking an offense. Overlooking an offense is hard. As in, man, just like if someone insults you and you're just going to overlook it, that is really, really hard. But the Bible says that is good sense. It is good sense to be slow to anger. It is good sense to actually be like, you know what, I can overlook that offense. Lord, help me get to that point where I can overlook the offenses of people. Verse 12 says, a king's wrath is like the growling of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass. A foolish son is ruin to his father, and a wife's quarreling is a continual dripping of rain. Let me explain that, guys. A leaky roof, like a roof that is leaking, is persistence. It's irritating, it's destructive, and it's a nuisance. This is similar to a person who is constantly arguing and nagging. If you have a wife that is constantly arguing and nagging, it makes a home, which should be a place of peace, to be completely unbearable and to be stressful over time. So this is this is a word to the wives. If you're a wife out there, or if you're looking to be a wife out there, please don't be a nagging wife. Don't be a quarrelsome wife, because you will be like a leak in the roof that is persistent, that is irritating, and that is destructive and a complete nuisance. Instead of being an arguing, irritating person, how about you just figure out what it is that you need to communicate and find a way to communicate it once, not necessarily having to nag about it. All right? Tuko pamoja, married people? Semani hallelujah at the back. Verse 14 says, house and wealth are inherited from the father, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. As in, this is clear. Parents can give you anything. They can give you land on your wedding day. They can give you title deeds. They can give you apartments. They can give you everything that they can afford with their money. But a prudent wife, the person you're standing next to in that wedding, it is only the Lord who can give you a prudent wife. It is not an inheritance that you can make from your parents. And I like this because it toshanishas us, it makes us equal. Because can you imagine if a prudent wife was to be an inheritance from someone who's probably like a rich parent? What would the rest of us do? Don't have rich parents? I just like the fact that it just balances things out. Like, yes, you can have all the riches, you can have everything that you need, you can be educated, but a prudent wife, it is the Lord that gives. Verse 15 says, a slothfulness casts into deep sleep, and an idle person will suffer hunger. Whoever keeps the commandments keeps his life, and he who despises his ways will die. Whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. Imagine, if you give to the poor, it is like umekopesha God. It's like you have lent to the Lord, and he will repay you. That's really good. Verse 18 says, discipline your son, for there is hope. Do not set your heart on putting him to death. A man of great wrath will pay the penalty. For if you deliver him, you will only have to do it again. This is what it means. Like, if someone does something that they need to pay the consequence, they need to go through the consequence of, don't try and rescue them from the consequences. Because if you do it, they will not learn the lesson, and you will have to keep saving them again and again. This is what it means. A man of great wrath will pay the penalty. For if you deliver him, you will only have to do it again. If someone is like an angry person and they got themselves into a fight, let them be beaten. Then they will learn. But if you save them, they will not learn. Another time they will go open their big mouth, get themselves in a fight. Then you'll have to come and keep saving them again and again. Verse 20 says, listen to advice and accept instruction, that you may gain wisdom in the future. Many are the plans in the mind of man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. I really like this verse. It says, many are the plans of the man, but it is the purposes of the Lord that will prevail. It is the purposes of the Lord that will stand. This is why it is important that when we are making plans, when we are making goals, when you're writing those resolutions, when you're writing those things that you want to do, ask the Lord to give you and to make it known to you what his purpose is. Because what's the point of writing plans and making all these plans if it's not the purpose of the Lord, and the purpose of the Lord is the only thing that will stand? See, it doesn't make sense. That's why it's like, just ask the Lord, where would you want me to accomplish this year? Where are you leading me? What are the purposes that you have for me in this season? What is the instruction that you have for me in this season? What is the assignment that you have for me in this season? Because then it will be easy for you to actually accomplish those things, because only the purposes of the Lord will prosper, will prevail, will stand. Makes a lot of sense. That is why it is very important for you to ask the Lord what it is that he wants to do with you in the season that you're in. Verse 22 says, what is desired in a man is steadfast love, and a poor man is better than a liar. The fear of the Lord leads to life, and whoever has it rests satisfied. He will not be visited by harm. I like that. The sluggard buries his hand in the dish and will not even bring it back to his mouth. Strike a scoffer, and the simple will learn prudence. Reprove a man of understanding, and he will gain knowledge. He who does violence to his father and chases away his mother is a son who brings shame and reproach. Cease to hear instructions, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. If you get to a point where you've stopped hearing instruction, you've already strayed. Umesha stray, like you've already know you're not in the path of righteousness. You have now completely strayed. 28 says, a worthless witness mocks at justice, and the mouth of the wicked devours iniquity. Condemnation is ready for the scoffer, and beating for the backs of a fool. That is the end of that chapter. But I think for me, the one of the things that I have really picked up from this chapter is verse 2, that desire without knowledge is not good, and whoever makes haste with his feet misses the way. Meaning that the passion, enthusiasm, strong motivation, if it's not guided by wisdom and facts, if it's not guided by understanding and knowledge, it will lead you to poor decisions, because you will make hasty decisions that then will just be reckless, that will just be mistakes. That's the one thing that I have really, really learned today. That's the one thing I can say I have taken from this chapter. But there are so many other lessons that are in this chapter, as you guys have seen. Thank you so much for listening, and see you tomorrow.